Hey everyone, this is Nate and this is the Nader Tater channel. Alright, I have finally figured out how I can get the home internet services from both Verizon and T-Mobile to work outside of their gateway. So this is not cheating. I'm not using a different IMEI using quote-unquote magic, and I am actually being upfront and honest with the ISPs on what I'm doing here. So this is the trick. If you watch my channel, you've seen many videos of me using their own gateways, doing things like adding these pigtails to add external antennas on them, and many different settings and stuff that I've set up there. But one of the biggest challenges, especially with T-Mobile, is their gateways are so limited for settings and configuration. They almost completely take away all options there for you. So that's the biggest frustration for most people. Verizon has a little bit more. They almost have a full bridge mode on their little cubes here that allow you to do a lot of the settings on your own router and actually leverage them, but there's still limitations like you can't band lock. Even seeing what signal quality you get is pretty hard to do on the Verizon gateway itself. And so that's why I have this Peplink device here. This is a Peplink Balance 20X. And what's really cool about this is that it has two cellular modems in it. It has one that's built in, and it has a dual SIM card on the bottom side. And then I added a little mini flex module that slides in the back here. That's what these 4 extra antennas are for. And that is a 5G cellular modem. And so that one also has 2 SIM cards. And the reason that both those modems have 2 SIM cards is because it can either have one as a backup, or it can actually alternate between the two of them, for example, to like share data amongst them if you needed to. And then additionally, this guy has a standard WAN Ethernet port that you can plug in with an Ethernet cable to, one of these guys, to some other service like cable or DSL. And then it has 4 LAN ports as well to give you some Ethernet ports. But Peplink also does some really cool stuff there that you can't do with these home internet gateways they provide, and that's things like band locking is a big one. VPN setup is very easy and straightforward, and Peplink also has a special, they call it Speed Fusion Bonding, and that is basically one of their specialized VPNs that allows you to connect all of these WANs. You can have a WAN, I think you have up to 13 WANs actually. I'm not sure why you'd want to do that, but you could have your main WAN, and you could have 2 different cellular ones actually hooked up, and they would aggregate all of their bandwidth and speed, and it would give you that full combined speed through their VPN service. There's a little bit of a asterisk on that, and that's specifically like for this guy, even though this is expensive relative to free from here, this is still a lower mid-tier on a Peplink device, and this one's limitation is I think 200 megabits per second for combined speed, and then that's unencrypted. If it's encrypted, I think it's 60 megabits per second combined. So for our needs here, I should be able to get more speed than for sure that 60. And even that 200, I can sometimes, surpass that if I get the good 5G ultra capacity signals out there. So that means the speed bonding actually maybe is not a great option for me, but for someone else, it might actually really benefit you. So I won't go into any more of those details. Let's talk about how we actually get the 5G internet service to work on this guy. So if you watched my previous video with this Peplink, I failed at it. And I said in the video, hey, I plugged these in, did not work. I tried some APN settings, I tried a couple, the standard tricks, and I could not get it to work. So since then, I've done a couple things. One is I called Verizon first directly, and I was, getting the runaround. I talked to like 5 or 6 different people, and they all said, nope, you have to use our hardware in order for it to work. And then I got to their business unit side, which is basically to deal with small businesses. And they also confirmed with me, nope, there's no chance you can use any other hardware other than the gateway they provide. The guy was even a little bit rude and said, take it or leave it. So I said, okay, I'll take a break on that. I'll call T-Mobile and talk to them. Okay, so from online reading, I've seen people that have successfully taken the Verizon SIM cards out of this. And now, so in case you don't know, the Verizon has two cubes that have the exact same external appearance and shape and everything, but one is on the bottom of it, there's a SKUI, and the SKUI, if it starts with ASK or ASK, that means it's an ASCII branded router or gateway, and that one has a nano SIM card in here underneath this little silicone cover, and you can take that out. If you get the ARC, the ARC branded one, which are Arcadian, that one has an eSIM, and so there is no SIM to take out. So sadly, you can't do this with it because there's no SIM card to take out of it. Now, on T-Mobile side, right now, all of their, they have three basically 5G ones. They all have a SIM card in there, and you can take it out. They're in different places. Most of the time, the back are the bottom here, and you can take those out to use them. All right, and so online, people will tell you that for T-Mobile, they've tried taking the SIM card out and using it in other devices, and they're unsuccessful with it. However, between a combination of some of my viewers that have put comments in, as well as some reading online, people have commented that with the business side of T-Mobile, they do allow you to bring your own device, and you still get the full unlimited data. You get the $50 a month price. In fact, I'll talk about you actually get a couple more options if you go to the business side, where you can get less data for less money per month that you don't get on the home internet side. But the real thing is that I wanted to bring my own device, right? So I called T-Mobile, I talked to them, and again, this was a little bit frustrating because I got a foreign call center, and after 45 minutes of talking to them, finally, once I got the message across, she told me I need to go in store to do business transactions because they have to verify your business paperwork. So I'll say, all right, fine, I'll go. I'll go into the store. I was kind of kicking myself for not doing that first. So my one advice for going in store is if you look up on T-Mobile.com and you go to Store Locator, they will, and you click on the different stores that are around you. The corporate stores that are owned by T-Mobile itself will say a T-Mobile store. The ones that are by a third party, it'll call it a authorized reseller. You do not want to go to the authorized reseller. I've just had bad experiences with them. Maybe you have a great one near you, but I always go to the corporate store because that's where I get the most knowledgeable, most helpful people that are in those types of stores. So for T-Mobile, I went to my local store, and I was really happy with the speed at which I was able to get exactly what I wanted done. They understood me, exactly what I was asking for. Understood I wanted to bring my own gateway to it. And so my local store, there's Angela there that helped me, and a Rob there that helped me, and then they connected me to the business side. And so for me, that's a Kirk and a Matt, and they are the ones that set me up for this. And so what they did was Angela at the store actually gave me the SIM card, said, okay, here's your SIM card. We're going to connect that to your account. And then on the back end, Kirk and Matt are going to have to verify your business information. And so for that, I gave them, of course, an address, I gave the business name, I gave the tax EIN. And they did say that if you don't have that, you can probably open one up under a social security number. For me, I actually use this YouTube channel, which is a legitimate business, and it's LLC, and I have a tax EIN. So I'm able to put the business account under this YouTube channel, and I'm able to be fully legitimate there. And upfront, from the get-go, I said I want to use my own device. No problem there. So once they got me all activated, I now have this new SIM card. So now what I'm going to do is slide it in here and see if it works. There are some configurations that you have to do, especially on the Verizon one, to get it to work. So let me go through that and show you what it is. And then what I really want to see is what kind of speed and performance do I get out of it? And, is the band locking actually effective on here for this Peplink? Can I actually steer my connection with this device? All right, so I want to mention a couple of the differences for the business T-Mobile internet versus the home internet. So on the business side, the first thing is it looks like the availability is actually different than home. And I'm using that because on mine, if I type in my address for home internet availability, it says it's no longer available. And it's because I have multiple lines here at this address, so they probably say, hey, you're tapped out. What's interesting though, if I go to the business 5G internet, it actually says I have availability when I'm looking for business. So that's what I did. So I used all my legitimate address for this service. But if you don't get the unlimited, then you have to go basically to their equivalent light plan, which has data limits or caps on it. And the highest one is 300 gigabytes of data, and that's for $70 a month. But then it goes down to 100 gigabytes of data for $50 a month, and then it goes down to 25 gigabytes of data for $45 a month, or you can drop down to 10 gigabytes of data for $25 a month. But on the phone, they told me there's even an option for as little as 2 gigabytes of data for $10 a month. So if you want a really small plan, then actually T-Mobile Business has it. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But so let me take this SIM card here. It comes in this little pouch. Now you want the full size one, so you want to be careful when you take it out of the pouch, because for the Peplink you need the full size SIM, not the micro or the nano. Alright, so now I have my tablet connected to the Wi-Fi of this Peplink. I don't have any SIM cards in there right now, but now at first I have to log into it, and then it's going to show me a dashboard or a status page here. And you can see here it says there is no card detected. So I'm going to take this SIM card now and put it into the 5G modem so that it can try to start to get connected. Alright, so now that's plugged in. So now you can see already it shows that there is a resetting status for that cellular modem. And again, this 5G is a little expansion module, and the cost is a little bit on the high side. It's probably close to $1,300. I think it might be $1,200 and change, depending on the price. Now I got this from Waveform, and you buy the actual router cellular modem itself, and then you have to add the module. The module is actually, I think, more expensive than the actual router itself to get there, but it also has the 4G, I think it's a Cat 7 level. That is a built-in one, and then there's a SIM card on the bottom here. Down here I took the cover off, but that one also has a dual SIM access that you can put these into. Alright, so now it's just been like 30 seconds, and that it shows connecting now, and it shows me a 5G, even shows 4 out of 5 bars there. If I click details here, you'll see it gives me more information. Now you see it actually says connected now. And down here in the basement is showing that I'm connected to a N71 5G band and a B66 for the 4G. You can see there on my N71 the signal to noise is 0, so that's very bad. And that's again because I'm in the basement here, so I'll move that up there to get a better signal. But the important thing here is that this works. And before, when I used the home internet one, it would say trying to obtain a IP address, and it would never get the IP address. So it is true that T-Mobile, from everything I've tried lots of different tricks, I can never get the home internet SIM to work. I even got a T-Mobile service rep to type in my IMEI into my account, and it still did not work. So there's some kind of block that they have in there that does not allow it. But their business SIM, it literally, you plug it in and it works. I did no special settings for the T-Mobile. All of my cellular settings in Peplink are automatic, so the APN, all that kind of stuff are automatic for that to work. But now let's take the Verizon SIM and put that in there. Now the Verizon SIM that comes in the gateway is a little nano one, so I had to buy a adapter piece that takes a nano SIM and turns it into the regular full-size SIM. So I have that, and then I'll put it in here to the bottom of this guy. So once that's slid in, now again you can put 2 of them in here. So if I wanted to have a second SIM, a redundant SIM, a backup SIM, that could put in there, but just know that the modems only use 1 at a time for their dual slot. So I can use that modem and this modem at the same time, but I can't use all 4 SIM cards at the same time. Just pick 2. Alright, so now if we go back here to my dashboard, you can see now that says for that cellular one, that one is also resetting, so that is the Verizon card that I just put in. And so that's how it's named. The bottom built-in one cellular, the secondary one is a cellular 1/1. But so what happened with Verizon is that before it would get stuck on the connecting, it would never fully connect. It would show that it found it was a Verizon network, even showed me the band and the signal, but it would never connect. So what I did was I went in here and on Peplink I go to network, and then since I'm plugged it into the cellular one, I click on cellular, and now this is where I have the 2 different SIM cards. This one's in SIM card A, but what's important here is I changed the operator setting, so the APN, and that is this the default one. I think I forget what it is. It's like VZ wireless or something, and that's what the Peplink would pick by default. But that does not work for the 5G home internet one. So you have to use this V5GA01 internet. So that's what I put in here for both SIM A and SIM B. So I'm covered down there. The next thing that you can see I did was the health check. So the health check setting has to get disabled. The smart check is the default and that is on. But the problem is, even though the smart check, it says right here that the smart check is optimized for mobile networks. But unfortunately it looks like it's not really, because it from some feedback I got from people in the industry is that it can actually bog up that connection, and it will not let it fully establish connection. So I had to disable that health check, and then on Peplink you had to hit save, and then after you hit save at the very top you have to hit apply changes. So let's go back to the dashboard here and see I should be connected by now. Alright, yep, so I sure am. I'm connected to Verizon Wireless as well. And you can see this is LTE/-A, and that is LTE Advanced. And so what's interesting there is that I have a secondary band. So it's not 5G, but I actually do have 2 bands. And what's really interesting here is that I do not get the LTE-A if I'm into this 5G expansion modem. I actually get a better connection on that LTE one. And I'll talk a little bit about that more in the future here. Okay, so now the real trick is to go up to my 3rd floor loft, which is where I typically keep my gateways for connecting to the internet, because that's where I get the best signal. I also have my waveform external antennas up there, so let's migrate up there. The lighting and the sound is not as good, so that's why I've been down here, but let's go up there and check out some of the performance. Alright, so I just logged back in with my Wi-Fi connected to the Peplink. You can see I have the Arcadian KVD21 Nokia here. I have the ARC Verizon here, and I have a Nokia T-Mobile here. So I'm really going to compare these right now hooked up with my dual WAN for my internet, and so these are my test dummies for this specific example. You can see that I'm back live and connected with both my Verizon and my T-Mobile. If you look now at the T-Mobile, it's on N41, which is the 5G ultra capacity, so that's the much better band to be on. And I have decent signal to noise for both the 5G and the LTE. Not spectacular, but decent. Now, if I hook them up to my waveform 4x4 antenna, I see those jump anywhere from 5 to 10 dB better for signal to noise, and that is significant. But again, for this testing, I'm using just the stock antennas. Now, if I look at the Verizon one, you can see here it still shows the same thing where I'm on LTE-A, which is the advanced LTE, and I have 2 bands. These are different bands than downstairs, so I have band 13 and band 4, and at least for band 13 I have a decent signal to noise. Band 4 is not so great. But what I want to do is test my speed up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect one of these. I'm going to disconnect the Verizon one. So now the only WAN service I have on the Peplink is the T-Mobile. Alright, now I'm connected directly via 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi to the Arcadian one here. Let's just test that one in that same position to see what we get as kind of a baseline. Alright, so you can see I'm actually getting some pretty good speed here from this Arcadian one. 184 down, 34 up, and my unloaded ping is 24. So that's good. My loaded ping is not great, close to a second for the loaded ping, but that is a good baseline here for this Arcadian one. So let me switch back over to my Peplink and see how it does. Alright, so hooked up to the Peplink, you can see on my T-Mobile one that's active, I'm on N41, and you can see I have decent signal to noise. And then for my LTE anchor, it's that V66 band and signal to noise of 5, and my signal for both of those is around 100 dBm. So reasonable. That shows 4 bars. Let's go in here and do a speed test and compare to what we got with the Arcadian. Okay, so this is about similar to what I saw before, and I'm getting significantly less speed out of this. I'm not exactly sure for the reason of that. I don't know if the business internet is prioritized differently, especially maybe by time of day, if it's maybe higher prioritized during the day or not, or if there's something going on with the actual Peplink, or it could be that the antennas perhaps are not as good. I'm not positive there on what it is, but it is slower than the Arcadian sitting in the same spot, and so that's what it is, and it's still pretty good speeds here. Okay, so that was on the N41, which is T-Mobile's 5G ultra capacity band. If I wanted to do band locking and force it to go over to, say, N71, which is their 5G extended network, I can go here and I can click cellular 1-1, which is just the name for that 5G modem that I have in there. And then over here on SIM card B, which is where I'm at, I unchecked that 5G N41 band and left all the others checked, meaning that I'm allowing every other band to actually connect, but not the N41 band. And then I hit save down here, and then hit apply, which I already did, and that will actually force it to hop off of N41. And now if we check here, sure enough, we are on N71 instead, and we're still in that band B2 for the main. So now if I go in here to the speed test, now I'm going to speed test still the Peplink, but now I'm on N71 instead of N41. Alright, so that is pretty pathetic. That is a really crappy download speed. The upload is about the same. It's a little bit slower than it was before. But this tells me that maybe there's something going on with the N71 band. Maybe I'm highly deprioritized on N71 and it doesn't give me any throughput. Now it's 12:30 in the morning, so the middle of the night. So you wouldn't think there'd be a lot of congestion right now. But that obviously does not improve my performance over N41 for sure. Alright, so I might have to mess around with the T-Mobile stuff a little bit more and find if I band lock to specific bands, or if there's any other settings I need to play within there to help. Still on the best case scenario with N41 band, I'm still not as fast as the T-Mobile home internet gateway, and I obviously would like to improve that the best I can. So I'll keep messing with that for future videos to see where we go. But let's switch over to the Verizon stuff now. Alright, so now I'm hooked directly to the 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi on this Verizon gateway. Now again, this one is the ARC one, or the Arcadian one with eSIM, but it's the same service as the SIM card that is in the Peplink. So let's go ahead and run a speed test here and see what we get. Alright, so very good numbers, and that's why I really do like the Verizon service. But this one is typically at 300 down and 20 up, give or take. Right now, middle of the night, I'm actually, a little bit faster than that. And that's all with the stock setup there. I've gotten even faster than that with the external antennas, but Verizon also kind of throttles at those speeds as well. So let's switch over to the Peplink now and use its Verizon SIM and see how we go. Now, the one caveat is I am testing it in a 4G cellular modem, so I know I won't get the 5G C-band that this guy's on right now. Alright, so it shows I'm connected to Verizon Wireless on the LTE-A again. So you can see here I have dual band 66, and we'll give it a minute just to make sure that sometimes, it does a little bit of thinking or processing when you first connect for it to figure out which bands are the best for you to be on. And so now it looks like I'm staying on that, so let's go ahead and do a speed test. Alright, there we go. So now we have about 60 megabits per second down and 12 or 13 up. And I did some of these tests before, and that is pretty much in line with where I was seeing it before. And I'm not too surprised because, again, that is with it just being on 4G LTE. That is not 5G. Alright, so you're probably asking, why don't I put the Verizon 5G SIM card in the 5G cellular modem? Well, the reason for that is I did do that, and it does not connect to the 5G. So it only connects to LTE, and it's not even the LTE-A. So it's actually much slower performance than this in that 5G expansion module. And I've read online of some other people complaining about the same thing, that when they do take the home internet SIM card out, they aren't able to connect up to that C-band to get that blazing fast speed. So that's kind of interesting, and that's where actually on my device, the Verizon SIM performs the best when it's actually in the 4G modem, not the 5G one. So I'm going to do some more research. I'm going to keep going at this and try to figure out if there's some improvements there, because obviously I think I'm leaving some speed on the table with both of those SIM cards. But even if I'm not able to improve that, I have a lot of capability here now with this Peplink device. And I have very usable speed, even though it's slower. But now I can do a lot of fine tuning. I can specialize VPN. I can make different VLANs. There's so many settings in there that maybe as a home user, they're not a lot of value. But if you're a business user or if you are an advanced user, it really affords a lot of capability. And I'm able to have a unlimited data SIM card in there, which is hard to beat. Okay, and as always, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, because that does really help me grow and maintain the channel. And then if you have any questions or comments, if you have knowledge of something that I'm doing wrong, or that you have suggestions to try, please put them in the comments below. I will try to read them and respond to them. So thanks for watching, and take care.